I live in Aldershot. I've spent a long time in quite a stressful job. So that definitely hasn't helped with drinking. I've got two boys, Arthur and Alfie. They are, oh gosh, how old are they now? 8, well, soon to be 8 and 11. The eldest is a sweetheart. He's a proper old soul. He's like a 60-year-old man and a little boy. And the youngest he's got the devil straight through him. He's going to end up a millionaire or in jail, and I don't think there's going to be any in between.
It's going to be interesting to watch the development there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into the drinking. What age did you start drinking at, Rachel? Take me back to the beginning.
I was 14, and it wasn't like I was off sneaking drinking with my friends. All of our parents were of the view it was better that they buy us a limited amount, drink in their company, and would be safer, which I completely understand that train of thought. Now I feel very differently, and I wouldn't ever consider buying my children underage. But at the time, teenagers were all about getting hammered and smoking, and it was just the way things were back then. So I started at 14, but I realized very quickly that I was different to my friends because I would always get hammered.
Yeah.
Always. And I'd always be more drunk than everyone else. I've never had an off switch. And I was always sick. Every single time I drank, I was sick up until my probably mid-20s.
It's surprising that you stuck at it, isn't it?
I used to look forward to nights out drinking a little bit like a kid on Christmas Eve looks forward to Christmas Day. I just loved going out and getting drunk. And the consequences for me were just worth it. When I was young, I was like, of course, I'm going to wake up with a thick head tomorrow, but I'll just get back on it again. And you recover so differently when you're young, don't you?
Yeah.
The hangovers. I could be sick in the morning and then go to work. So yeah, I was introduced to alcohol very young. Used to go out on a Friday, Saturday. All of the money I spent doing various part-time jobs, I spanked on slutty clothes and booze, and that's where it all went.
Did you have blackouts?
I found the blackouts actually got worse the older I got.
Mm.
And it's funny, I've been watching certain things on Netflix that I watched when I was drinking, and I've rewatched these things because I've got no memory of them.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy, like so many things that from, I don't know, 8 or 9 in the evening, my memory just went completely, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, and books as well. I would be reading a book and I'd think, I'm sure I've read that bit before. It just goes, it's scary. Yeah. Yeah, when we discover what it really does to our brain, I don't know if you looked into the science a bit, but it's frightening.
Really shocking. Yeah, it didn't stop me for a long time. By the time I was in my mid-20s, I would get so hammered. I could never moderate. I could never, ever just go out and say I'll have 1 or 2. I just didn't have that ability. Because as soon as I'd had a couple of sips, all bets were off. So I knew in the back of my head, if I was ever going to live a long, healthy life, I'd have to quit at some point. I always knew that moderation would never be for me. But it took getting not to like a full-on rock bottom where I've lost my house and my family and my job. It got to the point where I just felt so sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, grinding through every day. I went on a holiday with my sons, my dad and my friend and her 2 children. And we got really hammered all that week. Just stuffed the kids in kids club. So they were happy and we were happy. But I woke up one morning and I was shaking and I just, that is undeniable what that is. And I ran straight upstairs to get a mimosa because as far as I was concerned, you're on holiday. It's one of the morning drink because I'd never done that. I'm not like the archetypal alcoholic that
none of us were, really. I think we compare ourselves with those people and we think, I'm not like that, so I'm fine.
I even had this when I read Matthew Perry. I read his book when I was sober, and I actually had the thought, oh God, I didn't really need to quit, did I? This guy was way worse than me. But it's so easy to compare yourself to a story and think, I was all right.
It's not true. I think we've got to compare ourselves with the best version of ourselves that we can be rather than someone that's really has lost everything, because it's so counterproductive. But I don't know if he went to AA, but I did, and that's why it didn't really work for me. people were so much further down the line. They had lost everything and they were drinking in the morning. And I would leave those meetings thinking, maybe I don't have to give up, maybe I'm fine. But we just have to draw the line if we want to live a long and healthy life, as you put it. Tell me what age you were when you went on this boozy holiday.
It was 2021, so I was 39.
Okay, good for you. I wrote an article the other day and it was called Smart People Ditch the Booze at 40. I wanted to ask you what your limiting beliefs were around alcohol. What do you think kept you drinking? Why could you not ditch it?
So for years and years, I didn't stop because I didn't want to. Quite simply, I like getting drunk. It was that simple. But as it started to have more and more of a toll on my life, I think it's when it started to change and I started to question it. And then I started to read about it. And it was then where I realized that my beliefs about alcohol were skewed. To this day, I cannot believe that I had those views about alcohol. I was so convinced that the only way I would ever deal with my 24/7 anxiety was to drink. Then it was reading about how alcohol caused anxiety, and extreme anxiety. And I was thinking, anyway, I'm going to figure out if it's anxiety or if it's alcohol related until I stop. And behold, it disappeared almost instantly.
At least we know what's going on, don't we? If we ditch the booze and we can see what's causing it. But yeah, it's amazing. There's a meme that I really like, and it says, drinking alcohol's like pouring gasoline on our anxiety. It's mad because we start drinking because we're a bit anxious, maybe socially when we're teenagers, and it has the opposite effect.
I can't believe that there was so much I didn't know.
Yeah, we don't, do we? And I don't think a lot of people know. The World Health Organization published a report in 1988 saying that alcohol was #1 carcinogen. And that information has just been buried and people don't know. And I think if you stop the average guy in the street and said, do you realize alcohol's linked to 7 types of cancer and 60 diseases? He wouldn't know. Gradually people are realizing, but it's taking a long time.
Yeah, and it could be too late as well. I talk to my boys very openly about addiction, and they're currently 7 and 10, and they know more about addiction now than I did in my late 30s.
Yeah, good.
And they can't.
Education is everything, isn't it? It really is. Because then even if we decide to drink ourselves stupid every night for the rest of our lives, at least we know. I think we need to make informed choices, don't we? And I didn't have a clue. I got breast cancer and I carried on drinking because I didn't know there was a link.
Yeah, you're right. It's kept extraordinarily quiet. And then every now and then the media loves to throw out articles about how, I don't know, red wine's good for the heart. And you're like, okay, it might thin your blood a little bit, but it's also linked to high blood pressure and hypertension and stroke.
And eating some blueberries or something, because then you get the antioxidants without the poison. Yeah. There's so much misinformation. What about the mommy juice thing? Were you caught in that?
I wasn't just caught in it. I was an instigator of it.
You got ringing up. You were chief mommy with a bottle.
Honestly, it was terrible. If I met a woman, say in the school gates, and they told me they didn't drink, my gut reaction would have been, we can't be friends then.
Away. Yeah, me too.
The humor around it's everywhere. I saw a stream of videos a couple of days ago on Facebook, and it was various women coming home from a night out and filmed on the Ring doorbell, like falling over at the door and doing all these silly things. And okay, amusing to watch, but this whole comedic narrative that's around it completely hides the darkness that is addiction. If you're in the middle of that and you're still seeing the comedy around it, it's so easy to convince yourself that you are the same as the other mums.
Yeah, of course.
What does it? It's absolutely fundamental to parenting, because otherwise, how do you not kill your children? Yeah, sobriety doesn't fix that. There are still days I want to launch them both down the stairs, but it's
it's seen as a parenting aid these days, wine, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't realize how much harder it made motherhood, but motherhood became extraordinarily easy for me when I quit.
That's interesting. In what way?
So I'd wake up without feeling like crap and to just have
Well,
loads more energy, far less irritable, way more patient, spending more time engaging and playing with the kids rather than just trying to get them out of my sight as quickly as possible and off to bed so I could just have my wine in peace. So we started doing more bedtime stories together and chat time and loads of stuff. I had no comprehension that actually it was the alcohol that was a cause of a lot of the difficulties of motherhood. But it did give me that period of blackout where I could switch off that anxiety, but yeah, it was causing it and it made motherhood so much harder.
yeah. And I think as your boys move into their teens, you'll be in a much stronger position now when they go off and start experimenting with whatever they experiment with these days. So,
Yeah, exactly. My mum was quite strict and all I wanted to do was rebel.
yeah,
My eldest is a stickler for rules. He loves the rules and he won't break any of them. But my young likes to push back.
yeah,
And the easiest way to get my son to do anything is to tell him he can't do it. And then he's going to do it. There'd be no point saying to him, I don't think it's a good idea that you drink. It's far better for me in terms of knowing his personality to give him all the information and then he can make that decision because to say no to him is going to be red rag to a bull.
But you can have a dialogue and talk about yourself and what you've been through. Did you go through the phase with alcohol where it's fun and then you start self-medicating with it and sitting there on your own and drinking just to de-stress?
The switch for me was becoming a mum because before that I
Yeah.
was out Lashel all the time.
Yeah.
So when I became a mum, I was suddenly stuck indoors.
Yeah.
So I was always going to keep drinking and it was far easier if I'd not got to bother getting dressed to go out and I get a cab home and all of that. Also, I can't make a dickhead out of myself if I'm sat in my kitchen drinking wine all evening and no one knows. It was safer.
No one there to judge. Not that the people we mix with when we're drinkers would judge anyway.
Indeed. Yeah.
When did you quit? How many years of sobriety have you got now?
So it will be 4 years in November.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Did something bring this on or was it just a gradual realization?
Like I said, I think I'd known for a long time that I'd have to quit at some point. But when I went on that cruise, I was in the mid of what was a very acrimonious divorce, very stressful. I was terrified I was going to lose my home, that I was never going to be able to survive. I just couldn't see a way forward. And I had so many big life decisions to make. And it just hit me. I can't be a single mum and make these big decisions while I'm in this much of a state. I've got to at least give this a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, we think it makes our life easier, but in fact, it makes it so much harder. I don't know about you, but I feel I can cope with life a lot easier now that I don't drink because we can.
Oh, massively.
Yeah, we don't have to hide away and put off decisions all the time.
The way I see it is that any stress I've got in my life is not of my doing. I've got a lot of stressful things going on right now. There's nothing I can do about any of them. It's just life stresses and things that are happening that I've got no control over.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to have a lot of problems that I could solve, but I was the causer of those problems.
Yeah.
You know, I created the drama I needed to fix and that overshadowed everything else. Whereas now I trust my judgment. I don't remember any time in the last 3.5 years that I've said or done something that I think, oh, I really regret I shouldn't have done that. It just doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, I've gone from having loads of problems that were my fault to having life problems that I've got nothing I can do about. I've just got to let things ride out and I will cope with it because I'm far better equipped to do that now.
Yeah. 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 And there's all that regret that comes with the drama that we bring on ourselves as well, isn't it? Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why isn't my husband speaking to me?
See,
all that.
The thing that I really don't understand is, so Drunk Me was like a whole different person and she had it in for me. Drunk Me would message something nasty to a partner and then I would delete the sent messages. She won't know what she said in the morning, like not realizing it's the same bloody person. really not helpful. Like, how did drunk me not realize I'm going to need to know that information when I wake up? And it's like cursing out loud in the morning, thinking,
Yeah.
why did I do that? Now I don't know how bad this situation is. Now I've got to resolve. How far did I go?
It's frightening, isn't it? How we become another person almost.
Yeah. And for the days where I didn't delete messages, the things that would come out of my mouth or on text wasn't me. They weren't things I'd ever say. It just created like an entirely different person. Not to say that I'm not to blame, because alcohol turned me into someone different. I was well aware it turned me into someone different, so that was on me. But I really love not being in abject fear of myself after I've started.
Yeah. So tell us how you quit.
I read a lot, so much. I was studying addiction, like I was trying to get a degree in it.
Yeah. There's a lot to learn, isn't there? I think it's pretty fascinating. We've got biology, psychology, everything in there. The neuroscience is so interesting these days.
It's all fascinating. And the more I read, the more I wanted to know. And I just learned so many things that were staggering to me, and it just led me on. And I was also very loud about quitting. I told everybody, I told people at work, told my family, told friends, because I knew that if I didn't have that level of accountability, it would be too easy to go back to it. And I needed to make that loud decision. So that definitely was a major
And what
help.
was the reaction? Did they believe you could do it, or were they a bit skeptical?
No one said, I don't believe you can do it. But if I know my friends and family like I think I know them, they would have all thought, she's got no chance, that one. But yeah, they were all supportive about it.
Yeah, probably because it sounds as if you hadn't tried before. I was always hopping on and off the wagon, but it sounds like you drank, and then thought, that's it, and then you stopped. Tell us some books that you loved.
I really like Quit Like a Woman. It's not my normal type of book. It was very science-based, beautifully written, very intelligently written, about feminism and how as women it's particularly difficult to give up alcohol. It was fascinating. But then I really enjoyed reading the books that were story-led, like Claire Pooley's Sober Diaries, Catherine Gray's Unexpected Joy of Being Sober. I liked the light-hearted reads that weren't so heavy, because it's such a dark subject, particularly when you're in it. But I liked the comedy that went with quitting. I found that to be massively helpful.
Yeah. And now you've written your own book. So talk to us about that. What inspired you to write it, and who is it for?
It's directed at mums. I suppose it really is for anyone. A lot of the tools and techniques could happen to use motherhood, because there's a lot of things in there that are specifically related to that I understand because I've been through it, and hopefully then other mums will resonate. I decided to write it because I read so much about alcohol, but I couldn't find everything I needed in one place. And I just thought, how great would it be to have a manual that tells you what you're going to go through when you quit and how to do it. And there just wasn't anything like it out there. I couldn't find one particular source of information. And the timeline for me is so crucial, because it's so difficult to believe after, I don't know, 6 weeks sobriety. It's so difficult to believe that you're ever going to feel happy ever again. And to know that you can see yourself going along this timeline. So if you've got to week 6 on the timeline and you've gone through the sugar cravings and nightmares, and if you've gone through all these things, then there must be an end to this as well. And knowing that at the end of that 3-month mark, you're going to feel a gazillion times better, I think it just really helps people to see that mapped out, because without knowing, it's so easy to conclude 6 weeks after giving up alcohol that sobriety is rubbish and it's boring.
Absolutely.
It's very easy to conclude that sobriety is depressing. Just knowing that you don't fix until 3 months is crucial. So I just wanted to put something down that was funny as well. I've included quite a lot of funny stories. I wanted to reinforce, just because I've got sober doesn't mean I've become boring, and put these stories in there. I just thought it was a nice way to communicate lessons without having to pour through the science and facts. I just wanted to make it an easy read.
Yeah, I think the timeline idea is great, because if we've been relying on alcohol to make us feel good for decades and then we stop, our brain's got to recalibrate, hasn't it? I was okay actually for probably 3 months, because I was doing something. I had this project, I had to get sober. And then I really plummeted and I felt very flat. I interviewed a neuroscientist for the podcast a while ago, and she said that's absolutely normal. Then she said to me, so when did you perk up again? She said, how long did this last? And when did you start to feel better? So she made me reflect on it for the first time ever, really. And I started to feel better when I decided that I was going to set up Tribe Sober, because it gave me something to do. And I needed another project now that I was sober. Just learning about marketing and website and podcasting and everything else that you have to learn, that kept me really busy and engaged. That's when I started to perk up a bit. So with our members, when they say, I haven't had a drink for weeks and I still feel rubbish, we tell them to be patient. And I think your timeline idea is brilliant. We also suggest that they look around for a project, because we work with older ladies, really, and a lot of them aren't working anymore. So they've got to find their passion, really. They've got to find something useful and creative to do. So I think that helps with the dopamine. But there's definitely a flatness. I mean, because my husband was really proud of me and my son was really proud of me, and I was feeling pitiful, and I thought, oh no, I've trapped myself in this grey and miserable place now for the rest of my life. How am I going to cope? But of course it gets better. That's why the communities are good as well, because you talk to people that are further down the line than you, and you realise you've just got to keep going. But it's hard.
And more than that as well, in the communities, the people that end up back at day zero.
Yeah.
So I've never once seen a post from someone at day zero that said, I'm happy to be back here. So just reading about those on day zero, if you're day counting, I just think that's
And you think, I don't want to be there again ever. And it keeps you going somehow, even if it's been quite tough.
Yeah, definitely.
How long was it until you started really relaxing into your sobriety and thinking, this is so much better and I'm so much happier?
It was about 3 months.
Okay.
I found the first month the most difficult. I had extraordinary sugar cravings. I was eating packets and packets of cookies and Haribo, and it was crazy. And then I felt absolutely narcoleptic. I was napping all the time, and that lasted about 6 weeks. So I just felt depressed. About 2 weeks in, I got a full-on pink cloud where I felt all euphoric and couldn't believe how amazing I felt. And I think it should.
Oh, it was so easy. Why didn't I do it?
Exactly. He breathes a huge sigh of relief that it's not being poisoned, and then you get slammed down into boredom mode. And that for me was a very difficult stage. Up until 2.5 months, probably, I felt bored. I used to always complain that I'd never got enough time, and it's a common complaint from a lot of mums. And so I had more time than I knew what to do with. From 6 o'clock every evening, I was in thumb twiddling territory, and I would have happily ripped my teeth out just for something to do. So I basically just got productive. I'd read so much about dopamine. I was like, what is the point in following the advice that all these groups are giving, which is to find fun stuff to do? I'm like, nothing is fucking fun while I feel this low. So I might get productive. So I went through like my kitchen cupboards and bought shed loads of like plastic containers and put everything into them. I went through my wardrobes and turned everything into rainbow order, literally going through the house room by room every evening and making it look amazing and throwing stuff out, because I just thought, at least by the time my dopamine comes back, I'll have removed so many stresses from my environment that I can just enjoy it then.
Yeah.
And it does make a huge difference. Like, I needed to take a copy of my son's passport into school. That's the sort of thing when I was drinking that I would be hunting around the house for 2 hours at the last second thinking, damn it, I don't know where I've put it. Whereas now it's in a very specific place in a specific drawer.
Yeah.
And there's little things like that make such a big difference.
We do.
Yeah.
I think what you did to your house was great. Did you put all your books in alphabetical order?
They're not alphabetical, they're in rainbow color order.
So what do you do for fun these days?
I spend a huge amount of time with the boys. A lot of my fun is wrapped around them,
Yeah.
really. Like, we took them like donutting at the weekend, and they're boys. They need exercising. Like, we're out and about and outside a lot, I find.
Yeah, that's wonderful, isn't it? And that future is going to be different now because of how connected you are with them. You're going to be a real present mum for them, and whereas before it would have been easy for you to just get more and more distant as you drank more and they went off and did their thing. So that's great. What do you say to other mums that are obviously in trouble with their drinking and they don't imagine they could ever live without alcohol? Do you ever try and coax people into it, or do you just you model the sobriety for them maybe sometimes?
Yeah, like I said with the children, I tell them the facts, and they still ask me questions about it all the time. They're fascinated by it. Yeah, I just think it's good to be open. I don't think you can make anyone do it, but for anyone that wants to quit, I just say give it 2 weeks, because the biggest change that I think anybody goes through in sobriety is that first 2 weeks. And I have clients take a photograph of themselves on a daily
Yes.
basis to
Yeah.
watch the change, and that link from day 1 to day 14
Yeah.
is so massive, and people feel so much better
Yeah.
than they did before. I'm like, give it 2 weeks and then decide if you want to continue.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice. Yeah.
Yeah. And then even with my program, people are like, I don't know if I can do beyond 90 days. And I was like, well, don't think about it yet. Decide at the end of the 90 days if you want to continue. You don't have to commit to forever at any point. You can just be like, I'll do another month. I'll do another month.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the way to do it. We always say, avoid the F word. Don't even think about forever. I was coaching a lady once and she said, oh, I don't know how I can cope with never drinking again. She said, how am I going to cope with not having a glass of champagne at my daughter's wedding? So I said, oh, let's talk about your daughter's wedding. Maybe come up with some ideas for that. And she said, oh, it's not for a while. My daughter's 6. Just shows how mental we are. We think, oh, how am I going to cope in 20 years' time when I want a glass of champagne?
If you stay drinking heavily for that long, the likelihood is you're going to ruin the wedding. You know, it's
Your daughter will be delighted if you're not falling all over the place, probably.
yeah. I'm divorced now, but I don't even remember most of my wedding day. And I started doing shots right after the wedding breakfast, and that was good night Vienna. Wow, any of it.
I've had 2 wedding days and they're both a bit blurred. So you're a sober coach, I think.
Yes.
Why did you decide to train as a coach?
Because I basically quit by getting this timeline from various different places and deciding to take action around each area of the timeline. For instance, I knew I was going to be narcoleptic for a few weeks. So I just thought for the next month, all I'm going to do is get sober. And if I achieve anything else, it's a bonus. All I need to do is keep the kids alive, and just focused on sleeping and letting my body heal, and decided to be patient with myself. And I just thought, if this works so well for me, if it would work for other people as well. And it does, it works exceptionally well. I do daily accountability with clients. So they have to email me every day with their journal entries. And it's very easy for me to go through someone's journal entry and say, look, have you tried thinking about this way? And it's basically just daily problem solving. So yeah, and it's
And
it's
your
just,
program's in your book, isn't it, as well?
yeah, I've written about it in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And how can people contact you if they want to buy the book and talk to you about coaching?
the book's available in a lot of UK bookstores like Waterstones and 𝐤𝐻. It's probably easiest just to get it off Amazon. And then the website is sobermama.co.uk. So there's also links to the book in there.
Okay. Let's end with a big question. How do you think society needs to change the way that it is about alcohol, particularly British society? Not that it's any better here in South Africa. And do you think things are changing?
I think there's a lot more people that are going sober, and I think it's compounded by younger generations just opting for health lifestyles, and that maybe this will be a generational problem and it will ease off. But there's always going to be addicts, and I think that if things are going to change, it needs to come from the top down. from government level. There's this thing at the minute where the government are going to ban disposable vapes. They want to stop children vaping, make the UK smoke free. It's in the news on almost like a weekly basis at the moment. And I just think, okay, so if you're vaping, the worst that's really going to happen is you might end up with lung cancer at some point, but the only person you're hurting is yourself.
Yeah.
But alcohol causes multiple types of cancers. It doesn't just affect the person. It's a massive factor in domestic abuse and violent crime, like punch-ups. It has such a far-reaching effect. It can ruin children's lives. So why are we focused on stopping people vaping when alcohol is such a massive problem? The reason is quite simple. They don't want people to think about the ill effects of alcohol because they make a fuck ton of money off it.
Of course.
And, and they heavily tax it. So
the government make a lot of money out of it, obviously, but it also costs them a lot of money. Think about the NHS, all the people that have to use the NHS, just going in there on a Saturday night when all the drunks are there. And then there's all the long-term damage that they have to look after. So it's probably quite even, but no politician seems to have the guts to actually do something about it, do they?
never spoken about. It's an absolute epidemic and it's never spoken about.
It's the same here in the pandemic in South Africa. They banned alcohol. Can you imagine? That would never happen in the UK. They banned alcohol. You couldn't find alcohol for about 2 months at a time. And they did that because they needed the space in the hospitals for the COVID patients. Because normally the hospitals are stuffed with people from gender-based violence and car crashes and whatever. So they banned alcohol and the hospitals practically emptied. The doctors often talk about it. So that was like a real social experiment that could never happen normally, but it really accentuated here the massive societal problem that we've got with alcohol.
Well, I think you mentioned earlier, the World Health Organization has said the only safe way to drink alcohol is to not drink it.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no safe amount. And yet in the UK, we still say that 14 units is a healthy, safe amount to drink. And there is no safety in it. I just think it's so irresponsible for the government.
There's 𝐦𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢n't there, in the UK that put out these low risk limits? They're partly sponsored by the alcohol industry. And if you read their website, they just say, drink within the limits. They want to keep dependent people like me that can never moderate. They want to keep us drinking. It's so hypocritical.
It is. They write on every single alcohol product in the UK, it says on the bottom, drink responsibly. Like,
What does that mean?
You're selling a product that's going to turn me into a dickhead, and you're asking me to control how much of a dickhead I become. It's insane to me. After a few glasses of wine, I'm not responsible and stop at once. So how does this work?
And we drink because we don't really want to be responsible half the time.
It's lunacy. But
I sometimes feel like I'm living in a kind of cult where everyone's been brainwashed. You're probably not old enough to remember smoking when we all smoked our heads off. And we knew it was bad for us. But when I was about 30, suddenly it was in the press that smoking gave you lung cancer. And we were horrified. So we all stopped. Not all of us, but a lot of us stopped. I'm wondering if one day there'll be more information out there and people will quit because of that. But as you say, the fact that the young ones, I read something like 25% of 18 to 24-year-olds just don't drink. When I was that age, everybody drank.
I don't think social media is very good for mental health. But the one thing it has done, I think, is curbed drinking in young people. It takes this one video of you feeling like an idiot for that to then be online. So there's a lot riding on behaving if you want to stay popular.
Yeah.
Not be ridiculed.